So I recently got feedback on a previous video that maybe if I call my video vlog, I should be a little bit more active in my vlog instead of just ranting for 12 minutes and leaving it in the description that the first 12 minutes are going to be me ranting, but whatever. So I'm going to be a little bit more active in this vlog. This is a 48-hour vlog of me before one of my final exams. I'm going to go over how I study, where I've been, including the doctor's office, and also just what I do to de-stress, like go around the city of DC. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. This is 48 hours as a medical student. I actually wasn't planning on vlogging today. I was actually volunteering over at the hospital with my camera. I was volunteering in the sense that I was taking my camera to help them film a waste reduction video. So here's just some footage of some chucks on a hospital bed, a vacuum waste container, and also just a urinal. Yeah, just casual. But anyway, I was helping film a video to help reduce waste at the hospital, and I figured I had my camera and I had an exam coming up. So I set up my camera just to film myself studying for a couple hours straight. And so yeah, just me learning about the brain. I was getting ready for my brain and behavior exam. It was sort of our final exam, our cumulative exam, to review everything that we've learned about neurology and psychiatry. And so in my studies, you can see a lot of stuff about the brains. And eventually became nighttime and I had to leave the study room because I was actually running an event that was helping plan, and it was conveniently a neurology related event. We had a neurologist come in and talk about some of the tools and techniques that you use in neurology. And so here is just a lumbar puncture kit, which you would use to help diagnose meningitis. So we just had a demo essentially showing off some of the tools and techniques. And after that, I really had nothing else to do, so I went to the study lounge just to show you guys what the study lounge looks like at our school. And our study lounge is pretty minimalistic. I've seen some med school lounges who have been like super crazy cool, but ours kind of just has a ping pong table and some board games. Here are actually some pumpkins that I helped paint for actually another neurology related event earlier that month. It was for the Purple Pumpkins for Epilepsy campaign. Essentially in 2009, someone started the Purple Pumpkin Project to raise awareness about epilepsy. You guys can read more about that on the Epilepsy Foundation website. And here are just some other pumpkins right next to the ones that I helped paint, just because it's fall. And in our study lounge, we also have a coffee bar. I actually don't drink too much coffee. I just drink decaf now. But yeah, today wasn't really eventful in the sense that I just kind of sat in the study area and just studied basically the entire day, right after helping film stuff at the hospital. So, but yeah, I promise you guys the next day of this vlog is going to be a lot more eventful. So here is the stack of JAMA articles that you get subscribed for when you join the AMA. I also have a stack of textbooks on my coffee table, and this is me reaching for my yoga mat because I promised myself this semester I would be more intentional about being physically active and physically healthy, because when your body is healthy, that means your mind is healthy, and you can't study if your mind is not healthy. Speaking of preparing your mind, this is me about to make a cup of coffee right after telling you guys that I actually don't drink too much coffee anymore, but I guess a couple sips wouldn't hurt, and I just hope that it doesn't get me jittery over the course of the day. It's funny, I have so many classmates who will drink 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day, and I don't know how they're alive, but yeah. So this is me packing my things because I am trying to get ready to just be outside all day. Recently, I have not been able to study at home just because I can't focus, and so I'm trying to spend more time in the library or different coffee shops. But most importantly, my exam is like the next day, so I really need to crunch and just bring all my study materials everywhere that I go. So my goal for studying for this final exam is really just to review everything, because I've been working over the last 8 weeks on mastering this material. And so today I'm just reading this textbook called Crush Step 1, which is just a high yield review of all the organ systems. And so I'm reviewing the neurology and psychiatry sections of the Crush Step 1 textbook. It's great because they have this podcast where they read the textbook, and it's really convenient. So anyway, I move on to the clinic because I need a form filled out, because I am going to be doing research at the hospital, and it requires a health form to be filled out. And so, of course, I bring my study material into the clinic while I'm in the waiting room. I also felt like it would be fun if I shared some of my mnemonics with you guys. And so here you can see my notes as I'm notating the Crush Step 1 textbook. Ignore that drawing on the side, that's the ventricle system of the brain and not anything else. And anyway, so one of the mnemonics I had was, we learned that when you are awake, your brain waves are actually different from when your eyes are open and when they're closed. And so something to help me remember, essentially beta waves are when your eyes are open because the letter B looks like two open eyes, and the alpha symbol actually looks like two squinty eyes, so that's two squinty eyes on a Frankenstein looking thing. So anyway, yeah, most of my education has been me trying to remember silly things like this. Oh, and by the way, this is me leaving the clinic because they scheduled me for the wrong kind of appointment, and so I needed to make my way to some other clinic to try and hopefully find someone who will take walk-ins and is willing to fill out my form. But along the way, I found Mr. George Washington, just a statue of him that's actually kind of near my campus. I don't know why I felt the need to film this. Anyway, I continue walking. Eventually, I do find a clinic that is willing to take walk-ins and is willing to fill out my form for me. And so here's what I'm looking for. It's just an immunization form, just to fill something out saying that I've gotten my immunizations. But for some reason, the first clinic couldn't see me, and I am studying at this health clinic, trying to make sure I get as much done while I'm waiting for the doctor. Eventually, I get what I need done, and I eventually leave the doctor's office. I make my way home for lunch. It is a simple lunch of reheated rice, mushrooms, broccoli, maybe Oreos, maybe not. I reheated up some salmon from the day before heading out into the Georgetown area to hang out with some of my friends who are also cramming for this exam. We find a nice little spot, kind of romantic even. But we found this spot that actually has Wi-Fi, and so we all bring all of our things and study. So here I am with my iPad, smiling for the camera, showing off all the TV screens, showing off all my friends' notes and their other textbooks. So the restaurant got a little bit crowded, so me and one of my friends decided to go to the library to finish up our studying. It is late, and yeah, just gotta finish up reading a couple more pages of the textbook, and I'm really reaching my capacity at this point. It is kind of getting late. I've been trying to sleep earlier, like closer to 10 p.m., and so I'm not gonna stick around for too much longer. I am getting ready to pick up all of my things, getting rid of things I don't need. Just kidding, I don't litter. I eventually picked it up. That's my Dramamine. I am packing up my things. I'm saying goodbye to some of the hand models just because, I don't know, I got really bored. And here we are, getting ready for exam day. And so I decided to go back to the library for one more Hail Mary push and just study a little bit more when I see this bus stop ad on my way to school, and it just kind of tripped me out because these huge hands on this Apple iPhone ad reminded me of the sensory motor homunculi of the brain. And what that means is our brains are actually mapped so that parts of our body that have more nerve endings are actually represented more in the brain. And when you draw it out, it shows more brain areas, but when you draw it out onto like a person thing, it actually looks like this, and they call this the sensory or the motor homunculi. And I thought these huge hands reminded me of the sensory or motor homunculi, and I realized at that time my brain was broken. Anyway, I make my way to the library, and again, yeah, one more Hail Mary push. funny, my friend was sitting right next to me. He was making fun of me for filming myself while studying, but you know, gotta make content, right? So yeah, I literally just sit here for about 3 hours, give or take a bathroom break. And I want to show you guys another mnemonic. Now, the first aid step prep book is actually really good and really detailed, except I feel like they give almost too many mnemonics. For example, for ethoxamide, which is an anti-seizure medication, they tell you that it's good for absence seizures, and they give you some of the mechanisms and some of the side effects. And the mnemonic that they offer is that it sucks to have silent absence seizures. I thought that was a little touch and go. I'm not going to remember the word silent, so I just went with ethoxamide refers to absence seizures. I don't know, that's just how I remembered it. So yeah, that's the thing with the first aid step book. I feel like they have too many mnemonics. For example, phenobarbital, it's first line in neonates, so phenobarbital. Actually, I thought that one was pretty good, phenobarbital, because not any of the other medications for seizures are indicated for neonates, at least on that list. Here I thought was an interesting one that I added on to for Parkinsonian medications. They had some anticholinergics, benztropine and trihexyphenidyl, and they're mnemonic because it improves tremor and rigidity, but doesn't have an effect on the amount of movement or the bradykinesia in Parkinson's disease. Their mnemonic was try parking my Mercedes-Benz. I added onto it, try parking my Mercedes-Benz smoothly but not quickly, because that helped remind me that it helps with the tremor and rigidity. So smooth but not moving faster, so not affecting the bradykinesia. So yeah, if you're wondering how all of your doctors and all of your medical students and all your residents are trying to remember so many things, some of them are just really good at remembering things. If you're like me, you're going to need some memory tools to help you, just keep everything inside of your brain. And eventually, we're almost to my exam, and eventually I get distracted by the skeletons that have been watching me study this entire time. Obviously, I get a little bit distracted. So I go over to the skeleton, and he actually wishes me good luck. Yeah, that's him talking right now. Yeah, good luck. And I give him a high five, and then I go take my exam. So yeah, if you're only interested in the med school stuff, you can just stop the video now, because this is just me decompressing for the rest of the vlog. I am reflecting on my exam because it went pretty well. Quite a few of the mnemonics I use actually ended up in my exam, and at this point, even my phone is pretty much done with watching me do stuff, so it kind of just self-destructed. But yeah, I pick my phone back up and take it with me because I'm heading out to meet some of my friends who are actually visiting me from back home, and they're waiting for me to finish up with my exam so that I can meet them out in the city. So this is me within view of the Washington Monument. I actually feel really bad because I have no idea what building this is. If someone could enlighten me, that would be great. Anyway, I'm walking across the National Mall. In case you didn't know, the National Mall isn't actually a shopping mall. It's actually a huge quad area where all the Smithsonian's and all of the historic sites are. And I make my way to the National Gallery of Art because that's where I'm meeting my friend. It's actually one of my favorite places to go. And I definitely haven't seen all of the artwork yet. It's definitely a ton of things. Every time I go, I find something new to check out. And eventually I find some funny sculptures. For example, this is what I think I look like when I'm replaying a recorded lecture because I can't hear what the professor is saying. This is me when I'm trying to figure out for the 5th time what exactly is DIC. This is what I think a professor looks like. This is what I think professors see during a lecture. I don't know. My brain works in funny ways. And this is me trying to say goodbye to the National Gallery of Art because I am headed into the town. We are looking for dinner. We are walking through the downtown holiday market, which is right by the National Museum for American Art and also the National Portrait Gallery. It's a 2-in-1 thing. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me in this vlog. Literally, I just wanted to share what 2 days before an exam looks like for me as a medical student, and also just how I decompress. I hope you guys enjoyed my mnemonics and my tips and tricks on how to remember things. And yeah, please stay tuned for the next video. Signing off, this is Tony Chang, MS2.